It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Manipulation is rarely obvious. It creeps like a shadow across conversations, boardrooms, and digital spaces. Every interaction is a battlefield, and you are the commander of your mind. Recognize the hidden generals operating behind polite smiles or persuasive language. Their victories are subtle: a missed opportunity, a shift in perception, a rumor allowed to fester. Awareness is your first weapon. Survey every exchange. Identify patterns where influence is being applied against your interests, whether through flattery, guilt, or selective disclosure. Your focus is the fortress. Keep it disciplined and alert. The cost of ignorance is real: lost credibility, fractured relationships, or internal unrest that undermines decision-making. Every time you overlook a manipulator's tactic, you concede ground. Build calm defenses. Establish mental checkpoints at which you pause, reflect, and measure intent before responding. Position yourself as a sovereign. Observe without immediate reaction. Listen for the gaps between words and intentions, and refuse to be swayed by appearances alone. In meetings, notice the colleague who reframes facts subtly to shift consensus. Address them with firm acknowledgement of data rather than emotion, maintaining authority without confrontation. Tactics must be quiet but precise. Move as though your presence alone enforces boundaries. Guard your time and attention like a castle's gates. Prioritize strategic engagement over impulsive rebuttal. Reduce exposure to channels or individuals that erode clarity. Allow no breach of discipline. Respond when opportunity favors you, never when emotion tempts. Each decision is a move on the chessboard of influence. Anticipate outcomes, prepare contingencies, and hold your line. Reinforce daily routines that sharpen observation and strengthen resolve. Command with calm. Resist the pull of reactive energy and enforce standards without spectacle. Your mantra becomes the pulse of every encounter. I endure, I see, I remain sovereign. Your mind is a throne, and sovereignty begins within. Every thought, every impulse is territory that must be claimed and defended. Crown awareness first. Study your habits, reactions, and emotional triggers as a general studies the battlefield. Recognize patterns of deceit in colleagues, friends, or social currents. Every subtle misdirection is a probe, testing the strength of your defenses. Anticipate moves before they happen, and you secure the advantage that others squander through inattention. Fortify the fortress of thought. Establish routines that shield your cognition from manipulation, disciplined reflection, structured decision-making, and boundaries that filter unnecessary influence. Guard your focus as you would a city under siege, refusing entry to distractions that erode clarity. Habits become loyal generals in your council of discipline. Each morning, rehearse mental exercises that reinforce strategic thinking. Map social interactions like campaigns, noting potential threats and allies with equal care. When disagreement arises in conversation, respond with measured statements grounded in facts rather than emotion, demonstrating authority without aggression. Weak, react immediately to provocation. Strong, pause, assess, and counter with precision. Train the mind to resist impulsive reactions. Let patience become the silent enforcer of your throne. Recognize that sovereignty is not inherited, but earned in repeated acts of disciplined observation and calculated response. Protect your cognitive borders with the same rigor a ruler applies to walls and gates. Your daily victories are often invisible, unnoticed by others, but each one compounds your power. Refuse to allow others' schemes to dictate your focus. Enforce a regime of clarity. Read, reflect, and rehearse control. Treat every decision as a strategic deployment of your boar. Inner resources, weighing consequences before action. Let self-mastery be relentless. Let distractions, subtle flattery, and coercion bounce harmlessly off the armor of your mind. Command your attention as a king commands a court, deliberate, unwavering, and sovereign. Your internal empire grows only when each thought, each habit, and each interaction is subject to disciplined rule. Anchor yourself in vigilance, assert dominance over your impulses, and let your mind operate as a fortified command center. Close with a clear mantra. I rule within, I conquer without. Each morning is a battlefield, and victory begins before the world stirs. Dawn of control demands deliberate focus. Rise before distraction, before obligation, and assert authority over your schedule. Treat the first hours as a preemptive strike, seizing time that manipulators often exploit. Weaponize routine. Transform breakfast, movement, and reflection into psychological armaments that sharpen cognition and fortify willpower. Every completed task is a skirmish won. Every disciplined action compounds into strategic dominance over your day. Morning reconnaissance is essential. Scan relationships and incoming challenges while the mind is sharpest. Identify subtle shifts in tone, hidden agendas, or potential conflicts before they gain traction. Consider a colleague offering insincere praise. Respond with calm acknowledgement and mental mapping, noting motives without surrendering composure. Weak, react emotionally to flattery or criticism. Strong, observe, record, and adjust your strategy silently. Begin the day with a mental map, marking opportunities and threats, allocating attention with surgical precision. Implement micro-rituals that reinforce readiness. Journaling, planning, and priority setting become reconnaissance missions, revealing terrain unseen by those who drift aimlessly. Command your environment, silence notifications, organize your space, and define boundaries that prevent intrusion. Each deliberate choice strengthens the fortress of your mind, denying manipulators leverage over your attention and energy. Rehearse responses to likely provocations, calibrating tone and timing, so confrontation, if unavoidable, is executed with authority rather than impulse. Treat habits as scouts, returning intelligence on your state of mind, alerting you to vulnerabilities before they are exploited. The early hours shape the tempo of every engagement that follows. Mastery here determines resilience and influence in social, professional, and personal arenas. Let the first strike be yours, executed with precision, and let momentum carry through the day unbroken. Internalize this discipline as non-negotiable. Defend your focus, assert your will, and orchestrate the day like a commander marshalling troops before battle. Close with a commanding mantra. I conquer the morning, I master the day. Silence is the weapon of those who command without showing force. Observation over action ensures you respond with precision rather than impulsivity. Watch the subtle cues of manipulators, noting tone shifts, body language, and inconsistencies. Your restraint transforms into a psychological blade, cutting clarity through deception. Adopt the posture of the calm predator. Like a predator that surveys terrain before striking, measure every move, allowing patience to amplify the impact. Of eventual action. Do not fill the space with needless words. Let the absence of reaction become tension that unravels pretense. Psychological leverage emerges naturally from stillness. When you withhold immediate judgment or engagement, manipulators feel compelled to overexpose themselves, revealing intentions they would prefer to conceal. Consider a peer attempting to provoke a reaction in a team meeting. Maintain composure, acknowledge their point calmly, and redirect the discussion strategically. Weak, react with defensiveness or emotion. Strong, observe, integrate intelligence, and act with timing that maximizes effect. Establish routines that support this stillness. Moments of reflection, scheduled pauses, and deliberate planning serve as training grounds for restraint. Recognize the value of controlled breathing, measured gestures, and deliberate phrasing. Silence in communication is as lethal as any weapon. It signals authority without aggression. Apply these principles consistently, converting observation into informed action, restraint into strategic dominance. Let your presence alone regulate dynamics, allowing manipulators to reveal vulnerabilities through their own overextension. Command the room, the dialogue, and the flow of influence without force. Let your stillness become the engine of power, not its absence. Every moment of quiet, every deliberate pause cultivates clarity and enhances foresight. Internalize the principle daily, mastering patience, awareness, and precise timing. Close with a commanding mantra. I strike through stillness, I rule unseen. Decisiveness is the hallmark of power. Hesitation invites subversion. Identify the manipulators in your orbit and map their influence quietly. Surgical precision demands removing access points without drawing attention, leaving no trace of your strategy. Examine communications, obligations, and shared responsibilities. Isolate dependencies that enable manipulation. Apply invisible boundaries that prevent intrusion into your focus, your decisions, and your mental space. Do not announce your intentions. Let the absence of engagement act as deterrence. Delay is vulnerability. Each moment spent hesitating allows manipulators to strike, eroding the advantage you hold. Act with calm efficiency, severing entanglements while maintaining composure. In a team scenario, a colleague subtly undermines initiatives. Address the issue privately, redistribute responsibilities tactically, and ensure continued operational harmony. Weak, confront publicly or react emotionally. Strong, neutralize influence silently while sustaining authority and trust. Rely on structured routines to monitor interactions, ensuring recurring opportunities for covert adjustment. Use minimal, deliberate communication to enforce limits without conflict, making resistance futile without confrontation. Observe behavioral patterns to anticipate reactions and preemptively secure your psychological territory. Boundaries become extensions of your strategic armory, denying manipulators the chance to exploit openings. Let each removal be exact, sparing no ambiguity yet attracting no retaliation. Internalize the principle that power resides in controlled separation, not confrontation. Trust your assessment, act swiftly, and reinforce the architecture of autonomy. Every decision reinforces sovereignty. Every subtle withdrawal strengthens unseen dominance. Quietly dismantle toxic influence while maintaining operational control, ensuring manipulative forces cannot regroup or retaliate effectively. Close with a commanding mantra: I serve silently, I rule decisively. Power is measured not by volume, but by subtlety. The unseen hand often commands the battlefield. Assume the mask of command, presenting calm or indifference while shaping outcomes. Treat every interaction as a chessboard. Each gesture, word, and pause is a piece moved with intent. Strategic disguise requires mastering expressions, tone, and body language. Speak only when necessary, letting silence suggest contemplation rather than hesitation. Controlled signals are your covert orders. A nod, a glance, or measured agreement can redirect decisions without exposure. Your presence becomes a form of authority. Posture, composure, and measured intellect communicate command more effectively than confrontation. In a meeting, a team member insists on an impractical approach. Respond with quiet acknowledgement, then guide discussion through pointed questions, steering consensus toward the desired solution. Weak, overt disagreement or argument. Strong, subtle redirection while maintaining perceived neutrality. Use observation to anticipate reactions, deploying cues that guide without overt instruction. Maintain invisible boundaries. Your attention is selective, your involvement deliberate. Each interaction reinforces your authority while keeping strategy obscured. Avoid overexposure. Excessive assertiveness signals vulnerability. Balance approachability with the unspoken understanding that your decisions carry weight. The mind observes and calculates constantly, positioning you to influence without declaration. Let patience replace force. Timing is the ultimate weapon. Each move should appear natural, effortless, as though outcomes emerge independently, yet always favor your objectives. Internalize the principle that true command lies in control without spectacle. Cultivate presence that demands respect and subtly channels behavior. Execute every engagement with measured precision, maintaining the illusion of neutrality while consolidating influence. Close with a commanding mantra: I lead unseen, I prevail silently. The battlefield exists first, in the mind, where foresight determines victory before conflict arises. Cultivate the inner assassin, a mental force that neutralizes threats before they manifest. Treat every situation as a chessboard, anticipating moves with precision. Anticipatory thinking requires observing patterns, understanding intentions, and predicting outcomes. Calculate responses before actions are demanded, positioning yourself to act decisively while others react blindly. Silent tactics are the signature of mastery. Dismantle threats without spectacle, allowing interventions to appear seamless or unnoticeable. Your presence alone signals control. Let your decisions ripple quietly through the environment, influencing outcomes without declaration. Ethical ruthlessness demands clarity of purpose. Protect your sovereignty without creating chaos, ensuring that every strike serves strategy, not ego. In a team setting, a colleague proposes a plan that could expose vulnerabilities. Acknowledge the idea without opposition, then adjust implementation behind the scenes, safeguarding interests while maintaining harmony. Weak, overt confrontation or public correction. Strong, subtle realignment while preserving trust and authority. Observe constantly, act only when it consolidates power, and remain patient as scenarios unfold. Visualize potential threats and countermeasures as pieces on a board, moving invisibly yet with precision. Train your mind to detect micro-patterns in communication, timing interventions with perfect alignment. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to strengthen control. Every pause a chance to assess intent. Let restraint be your weapon and anticipate your armor. Rehearse mental simulations of challenges, adjusting strategies until action becomes instinctive. Cultivate calm that masks awareness, signaling confidence and command. Each choice is deliberate, each response measured, ensuring threats dissolve before manifesting. Internalize the principle that dominance is achieved silently through superior perception and preemptive execution. Close with a commanding mantra: I strike unseen, I prevail first. Harness suppressed anger as a weapon, channeling frustration into precise, controlled action that reinforces your presence and authority. Think like a predator stalking prey, where every sensed weakness becomes a potential advantage. Channeling emotion transforms reactive impulses into proactive strategy. Let each frustration fuel careful planning rather than impulsive response. Accumulated tension is an energy reservoir. The more you contain, the stronger your eventual interventions become. Observe manipulative patterns as a wolf observes the herd, noting timing, vulnerabilities, and behavioral cues. Your focus must remain relentless, guided by hunger for mastery rather than desire for retaliation. Subtle, deliberate actions carry more weight than overt displays. Use energy to shape circumstances silently and decisively. Predatory mindset demands patience. Resist immediate strikes that risk exposure or loss of control. Micro-adjustments of influence often yield larger gains than direct confrontation. When a colleague challenges your approach in a team meeting, remain composed, acknowledge their perspective, and integrate the insight into a refined strategy behind the scenes. Weak, explosive rebuttal, or overt dominance. Strong, measured adaptation that consolidates authority without chaos. Maintain internal discipline by monitoring your emotional states, converting irritation or envy into tactical advantage. Each calculated maneuver strengthens your psychological positioning and signals control to observers without overt aggression. Visualize the wolf's hunt. Energy is stored, waiting for the exact moment when precision, patience, and positioning converge. Every interaction, every observation becomes fuel for decisive action. Let focus sharpen as tension builds, letting anticipation and readiness dictate timing. Ethics remain central. Your goal is control and sovereignty, not harm for its own sake. Refine instincts until instinctive reactions are aligned with strategic priorities, allowing silent, preemptive dominance over threats. Channel power without letting it consume or destabilize you. Internalize the principle: controlled aggression. Breed strength, clarity, and authority. Close with a commanding mantra: hunger fuels mastery. I strike with purpose. Master life as a chessboard, where every interaction, every relationship is a piece whose position dictates future outcomes. Anticipate opponent moves like a grandmaster mapping the board. Understand which pieces threaten your objectives and which positions must be controlled to maintain leverage. Sacrifice strategically. Relinquish minor disputes or trivial influence to secure the squares that matter most. The pawn you yield today may open a path for dominance tomorrow. Visualize each relationship as a chess piece, each decision as a potential capture or check. Endgame mindset governs your actions. Resist the urge for momentary victories that compromise long-term control. Strength lies in patience and foresight, not reactionary tactics. In negotiations, observe silently, noting colleagues' tendencies, motivations, and potential blind spots. Then maneuver subtly to favorable positions before asserting influence. Weak, immediate rebuttal to minor criticism. Strong, reposition. Subtly maintain composure and leverage timing to shift dynamics. Preserve energy and clarity by prioritizing moves with cumulative advantage. Recognize that life rewards those who foresee patterns, anticipate responses, and integrate flexibility into strategy. Each sacrifice and advance must align with overarching goals. Short-term gains often conceal long-term vulnerability. Execute plans incrementally, maintaining awareness of both your pieces and those of others. Protect critical squares with foresight, using influence, reputation, and alliances to reinforce control without overt confrontation. Track dynamics quietly, responding only when movement threatens your endgame. Let observation guide decisive action, ensuring that positioning amplifies leverage at each stage. Treat influence as cumulative. Small positional advantages compound into decisive control. Avoid impulsive moves. Momentum favors calculated patience. Build relationships with intent, ensuring each alignment strengthens your overall positioning. Visualize scenarios several steps ahead, accounting for contingencies, and act with deliberate precision. Ethical foresight ensures dominance without coercion, authority without aggression, and influence without compromise. Internalize the principle. Control the board before the battle, positioning yourself for ultimate advantage. Close with a commanding mantra: every move shapes my throne. Discipline is the backbone of indestructibility. Your mind is a fortress that must be reinforced daily. Begin each day with drills that sharpen focus, patience, and restraint. Treat every distraction as an intruder. Repel it with unwavering attention. Small exercises in restraint are your armor, shielding you from impulsive reactions and subtle manipulation. Expose yourself deliberately to minor stresses, delayed gratification, uncomfortable conversations, and controlled challenges. Each encounter strengthens resilience, training your mind to endure psychological pressure without fracture. Your willpower is a currency that buys sovereignty over thought, emotion, and choice. Guard it jealously, for those who control impulses control outcomes. Structure your environment to reinforce mental fortitude, limit distractions, create routines, and set deliberate challenges. In moments of external pressure, respond with calm deliberation, not instinctive reaction. Weak, reacting defensively to criticism. Strong, pause, assess the source, and act with measured strategy. Use rituals to solidify habits. Journaling, reflection, and focused planning become tools of the sovereign mind. Each repetition etches discipline deeper, forming pathways of resilience that function automatically. Observe setbacks without judgment, extracting lessons while maintaining composure. Minor frustrations become training grounds. Each instance of patience adds to your mental armor. Recognize the value of endurance. True power arises from consistent, intentional effort, not sporadic bursts of force. Practice strategic restraint in negotiations, meetings, and social dynamics. Influence is more secure when exerted from a position of control rather than reaction. Cultivate internal silence before external action. Inaction without purpose weakens, but deliberate stillness strengthens. Align every decision with long-term objectives, letting immediate discomfort serve your broader strategy. Strengthen cognitive endurance through challenges that simulate pressure, ensuring clarity under stress. Protect mental space as you would a citadel. Boundaries must be respected and maintained. Reinforce the connection between will and action. Every decision executed with awareness strengthens the fortress of the mind, Allow repetition to ingrain resilience until it becomes instinctive, a reflexive defense against manipulation. Your sovereign mindset transforms vulnerability into opportunity, stress into training, and hesitation into decisive clarity. Command attention internally before projecting influence externally, ensuring every move is calculated and deliberate. Maintain ritualized discipline daily, integrating focus, resilience, and deliberate action into the fabric of thought. Close with a commanding mantra. My mind is unshakable. True power is seen in absence of reaction. Your presence alone enforces authority. Become untouchable by internalizing sovereignty. No deceit, insult, or manipulation can penetrate a mind that commands itself. Visualize your mind as a citadel, walls unbreachable, gates controlled by reason and foresight. Psychological immunity begins with clarity. Separate your perception from external chaos. Observe without attachment, respond with deliberate calm. Cultivate subtle domination by mastering influence without display. Speak less, act with precision, and let restraint become a vector of control. Presence over spectacle commands attention silently. Others follow because alignment with your steadiness is instinctive, not coerced. Engage interactions as a chess master. Anticipate moves, position without force, redirect tension into resolution without confrontation. Weak, asserting dominance with volume. Strong, guiding outcomes with calm and focus. Construct a personal rhythm that communicates authority through composure alone. Gestures, posture, and decisiveness transmit power without need for words. Legacy of silence ensures your victories endure beyond immediate conflicts. Autonomy and respect are the spoils of patience, not the applause of the moment. Train daily to reinforce these principles. Meditation, reflection, and controlled challenges sharpen your ability to maintain presence under pressure. Protect mental space as fiercely as physical territory. Boundaries are the ramparts that safeguard decision-making and sovereignty. Embrace the paradox of power. The less you react, the more you control. The less you assert, the more you are obeyed. In meetings, negotiations, and social dynamics, respond with deliberate composure, even when challenged directly. Calm clarity disarms attempts at manipulation while projecting authority. Every action should reinforce invisibility as strength. Avoid spectacle, avoid overexposure, and let influence seep quietly into the environment. Observe discord without internalizing it. Disagreement encountered with patience strengthens your position rather than undermines it. Anchor every choice in long-term strategy. Resist impulsive displays, knowing true power consolidates in restraint. Let your mind operate as both shield and blade, impervious yet decisive when necessary, enforcing presence without confrontation. Each day, practice subtlety in speech, control in movement, and steadiness in thought. These rituals transform influence into a natural extension of self-mastery. Confrontation becomes unnecessary when sovereignty is absolute. Manipulative tactics falter before internalized authority. Close with a commanding mantra. I am untouchable. The ultimate command is mastery without display. A sovereign dismantles manipulation silently. Envision your mind as a throne room at the center of a fortress, walls layered with vigilance, floors mapped with strategy, and every doorway guarded by foresight. Integration of tactics begins with observation. Scan every environment as a general surveys the battlefield, noting positions, vulnerabilities, and intentions without immediate reaction. Move next into restraint. Act only with deliberation, each gesture measured, each word precise. Anticipate patterns in behavior. Predict maneuvers as a chess master calculates 10 steps ahead, positioning yourself where influence meets minimal. Resistance. Precision becomes a weapon when deployed sparingly, striking only in moments that maximize advantage, ensuring that every interaction consolidates authority rather than dissipating energy. Visualize the transition from reactive individual to silent commander. Let impulses be mapped, not followed. Let emotion inform awareness, not dictate action. Psychological sovereignty is earned through repetition, a series of internalized drills that fortify your judgment and sharpen your strategic instinct. In discussions, handle disagreement with calm leadership. Absorb challenge, respond with clarity, redirect tension toward resolution, and let silence serve as leverage. Weak, counter every provocation immediately. Strong, absorb, assess, then redirect with measured control. Every action should reinforce your unassailability. Presence alone communicates authority and wards off attempts at manipulation. Subtle domination emerges as influence that feels natural to others, unseen yet inevitable, compelling alignment without coercion or spectacle. The legacy of silence is the fortress itself, the structure of influence solidified over time, immune to disruption, because it depends on internal mastery rather than external validation. Exercise daily vigilance through reflection, tactical rehearsal, and controlled exposure to stress. These reinforce adaptive thinking, resilience, and anticipation. Boundaries are your ramparts. Enforce them consistently, visibly only when necessary, imperceptibly always. The epic payoff is freedom in decisions, influence over complex social and personal landscapes, and mastery that commands respect without demonstration. Every maneuver in life, social interaction, and personal ambition should be filtered through these principles, merging prior strategies into cohesive action. Operate as a predator of opportunity, seizing initiative quietly, striking with precision, then receding to consolidate gains. Let every victory be internalized first, ensuring that external recognition is incidental, not the objective. Your mind becomes a throne of absolute control, unassailable yet active, silent yet commanding, close with the defining mantra, I command, unseen. Command your mind before anyone else attempts to. Treat your consciousness as a throne room, fortified and unseen, where every thought, observation, and decision is measured as a strategist surveys a battlefield. Daily enforcement begins with vigilance. Scan interactions, assess intentions, and recognize patterns without immediate reaction. Ritualize. Reflection. Cataloging your observations and discerning which impulses serve sovereignty and which surrender it. Move into decisive action. Let choices align with strategy, not emotion, and strike subtly through influence rather than confrontation. In moments of disagreement, absorb tension calmly, respond with precision, and maintain the equilibrium of authority. Weak, react with defense. Strong, observe, assess, redirect. Your presence alone communicates power unchallenged and natural. Subtle dominance grows as your influence spreads quietly, like the shadow of a predator whose movement dictates terrain without noise. Reinforce this practice daily, building immunity to manipulation, internalizing control until autonomy becomes instinct. Legacy of mastery emerges as manipulators fail to penetrate your focus. Influence flows effortlessly through clear boundaries, and freedom arises from consistent, deliberate command. Let each day serve as rehearsal. Observe the battlefield, execute with discretion, consolidate gains, and retreat into preparation. Your mind becomes the ultimate fortress, impenetrable yet flexible, commanding respect through restraint rather than display. Maintain rituals without spectacle, let calm authority dictate outcomes, and allow influence to manifest naturally in relationships, negotiations, and personal pursuits. Close with the defining mantra, I see through the shadows. I endure without striking. I am the throne, the silent storm, untouchable.